right, welcome. If you're new to the Muzicraft family, welcome. And if you're already a customer, thank you for allowing us to continue to serve you. My name's Dina Lockhart, CEO of Muzicraft, and I'm excited to host today's webinar. With me, I have a panel of experts to share and hopefully answer any questions that you have. Our first panelist is Paisha Smith. She's manager of strategic accounts from Centair Corp. Paisha has worked with accounts in over 119 countries, as Centair currently has over 500,000 customers. She is the all-knowing Centair guru. Welcome, Paisha.
Thank you, Dina.
You're welcome. Next on our panel is Joshua Swain, CEO of Metro Communications and president of the IPMA Association, and expert in client integration utilizing Centair. Josh and I have known each other since we were teenagers. Well, he was a teenager. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We also have our own Jay Ruiz. He is our sales manager with Muzicraft. Jay has worked with us for many years now and has extensive experience working with our local customers and has a really great understanding of what the customers' needs are in their business. And Jay has actually joined me here in my camera. We had some technical difficulties with his, so welcome, Jay.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we have Kelly Perkins, our audiovisual marketing consultant, who will be running the tech side and making sure we don't miss any of your questions. And we really appreciate her expertise and attention to details. So if you have any questions, again, if you've just joined, go ahead and at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button. Feel free to go ahead and click on that and ask any questions. If you want to speak, go ahead and click the raise hand. We just want to make sure that we reach everyone. So we prefer the Q&A, but if you want to speak, we'd love to hear you. I admit this is my first time participating in this role on a webinar, but I wanted to be here because right now we're dealing with creating new COVID-free experiences for our customers. This is new. This is new territory. We spend a lot of time talking to our customers about the experiences we create with our commercially designed sound, our music systems, the digital signage, camera security and such. But right now, a lot of our existing customers have expressed almost an underlying fear when it comes to in-person eating, shopping, working out, appointments, visiting, you name it. They're fearful that their business isn't going to be clean enough. They're fearful of the COVID exposure. They're fearful of things they never thought about before, that none of us had to think about 10 months ago. So how do we dispel this fear and create an experience that makes them feel, our customers feel safe, happy, and of course, motivated to stay? Did you know that at least 70% of people experience emotions on a daily basis driven solely by what they smell? So that means nearly 75% of the population experience emotions based on smells. And when I read that and read the technology behind that and the stats, I started smelling a huge potential in marketing for all of our customers. So how do we create a better customer experience using this sensory marketing? Kelly's going to roll a video quickly, and then Paisha, if you would elaborate on the video and give us some product background, that would be appreciated.
We use Centair not only in acquiring new members, but retaining them as well. I think when people are evaluating health clubs and whether or not they want to continue with this particular health club, to have a nice fresh scent would really be hard to walk away from. We know that cleanliness is very important to people. When it can be clean and smell great, it's an added bonus and it will help with our member retention. The areas that we send in Fitness Connection are our lobbies, our locker rooms, and then we have some specialty rooms as well, like a yoga room. Another attractive benefit, other than the great smell it provides, is how easy it is to educate my team on setting it up each month. The device used, I feel like, reaches a greater area, and we really like the fact that we can program it and time it to accommodate our busiest times with members. I find tremendous value in the recommendations that we've got from our Scentair rep. We actually are very impressed with the way they go above and beyond in educating our team and our staff, not just about the Scentair products, but scent in general. We feel like Scentair will take our gyms to the next level.
That was great. Now that was a great video, especially since I know we've got at least one participant that owns a large gym. I mean, it does make a big difference. Paisha, you want to go ahead and take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dina. So as you saw in the video, I mean, they're utilizing it to retain their current clients plus get new clients, and for the cleanliness factor of it, because they're already cleaning, but just having that clean smell just makes people more comfortable and more confident, because when you can smell clean, you feel clean. So that's an important product there. So I was just going to go over a few key positioning points today. Just a message positioning and message overview. The scent categories, I wanted to touch on that a little bit, and then go on to our scent solutions and delivery systems, and then a few tools and resources that we can utilize as well. So Kelly, if you want to, we can skip that part for now. Okay. So Dina mentioned about 75% of the emotions we generate on a daily basis are affected by scent. Also, in a long-term process, we're 100 times more likely to remember what we smell over the things that we touch, taste, and hear. So that's pretty powerful as well. And scent is the most powerful trigger of our emotion and memories. So just to give you an idea of what scent can do. So for a scent experience, we're creating an emotional and memorable connection to your clients, to their clients. It's building a perceived value of the product that they're selling, whether it be a hotel chain, wanting that retention, the returning clients and new clients, whether it be retail on a specific product that they're trying to sell. It increases dwell time with shoppers as well. When you're surrounded by a pleasant scent, it makes you want to linger a little longer. And in return, you're probably going to spend more because you're lingering longer, you're looking at more items, you're just hanging around and looking around. So you're probably going to spend a little bit more as well. And it also improves productivity in your employees as well. So if it's being utilized in a business office, the productivity and just their personal factors, as well as just being in a pleasant environment. So helping businesses choose the right scent, it's very similar to what you guys do anyway with other things, with like billboards and digital signage and that kind of thing, just selecting it. It's based on what the customer's needs are, and those same defining questions that you guys utilize for other products, you can do the same with scent products. Just elements of their brand. If they're wanting to differentiate themselves from competitors, a scent's a great way to do that. Who's their target demographic? The space itself, the colors, the finishes, the total aesthetics of the building itself. All of these things can help you in helping the client select the perfect scent for their space, just on some key questions that you can ask. So if you'll go to the next slide, Kelly. So with Scentair, we have a list that you guys get of the scent categories, and we really want to utilize that. And as you can see, we've got relaxing and soothing, voyage and escape, crisp and invigorating. The list goes on and on. So my recommendation is just going through this list and getting used to it, and pick a few of your favorites out of each of those categories, so that when you are with the client or for a client themselves, they can select the right scent for their environment, for what they're trying to portray. Some interesting facts: if you've ever walked through a mall and passed by a Cinnabon, location, you smell these wonderful cinnamon rolls that smell like fresh baked cinnamon rolls. That's not always the case. Sometimes that's scent air in the background, just pushing scent out for people to smell as they're walking by. Because let's be honest, they don't keep the ovens going constantly in those spaces. We've done the same with McDonald's and their apple pies in the past. When you walked into the McDonald's years ago, you would always smell that apple pie. That would be the first thing that would hit you in the face when you walked in their door. That was also scent air. That wasn't their apple pies that they kept under the little heating lamps. So
wow.
just
So
to give you an idea.
Air? Was that
was
scent air all the time, starting with McDonald's?
It was. It was.
I didn't know that.
Because if you recall, it's been quite a few years ago, but when you walked in, that was probably the first smell that hit you as you walked through the door for years. Now it's not so much that smell that you're smelling, but yes, it was scent air. So that's just a few examples of how scent's used.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, please.
We had a question about the clean smelling scents, that kind of the COVID-free scents that
Yes.
that you might have. And I know that you had mentioned before that they have created, I think it was just 4 or 5 new scents.
Yes, they did. So with COVID coming aboard, it kind of changed the direction for everything, as everyone knows, because I mean, we're all focusing on clean and sanitary and trying to kill germs and pass things along. So our scent air, our fragrance department, they came up with some scents that kind of mirror some cleaning products, but with a nicer, fresher smell to them, and not so much of the disinfectant smells that you get, or the harsh chemical smells. So we have a lemon scent, which is, all of these are just called lemon clean. We have a lavender clean, which kind of mirrors the Fabuloso cleaning products. We have a pine clean, and then a fresh clean, which is more of probably like the Lysol brands, the fresh clean scent Lysol, not just the regular Lysol spray. So just a nice, clean, fresh scent. And this kind of helps when people walk through the door. They're seeing clean. I mean, everything appears to be clean, but when they get that smell to go along with it, it just creates that whole atmosphere of clean, and people feel safer and will stay longer a lot of times because of those scents. Any other questions on those while I'm here?
Nope.
Okay. If we want to move along to the next slide. So we've talked a little bit about the scent. So let's talk about how it's dispersed into the spaces with our delivery tools. So a lot of you are probably familiar with the scent wave system, and it's basically just a customer-controlled, self-controlled solution. The machine, you get a new cartridge every single month. You can have a different fragrance every single month if you choose to, as long as we know ahead of time. So this one's just easy and flexible, easy to use, and it's going to cover about 1,500 square feet or so, a little more, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. It uses dry air cartridges, so dry air evaporative, which means basically that there's a cartridge inside that's been soaked. The inside of the cartridge has been soaked in fragrance oil, and as it's opened, and there's a fan that's blowing it, so that dry air is just coming straight off that cartridge and spraying into the space. So you may notice a little variance from the beginning to the 30-day mark as far as the fragrance intensity, because of course it's going to be stronger when you first open the cartridge. It's been soaked in that oil, but as it gets later on into the month, that intensity is probably going to lower a little bit, which brings me to our Scent Direct system. Oh, pardon me. Let me tell you how this works. So this is a front view of the actual Scent Direct, and the cartridge already inserted inside. And then if you'll go to the next slide, you'll see the back of this machine where all of our system settings. There's a 24.
Is this the Scent Wave or the Scent Direct? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Pardon. This is all the Scent Wave.
Okay,
the system. So this one has a 24-hour timer, and it has a few settings, event settings as well. If you can set an alarm clock, which most people use their phones nowadays, but the older alarm clocks, if you could set those, then this one you can set with no problem. And again, it's just a fan, internal fan that's blowing the fragrance out, and each cartridge actually has a fan built into it, and it plugs into the system as you're inserting the cartridge. So basically every month you're getting a new fan, so you don't have to worry about the fan wearing out in the unit. So every cartridge has a built-in fan. But that one's just basically kind of a plug-and-play system, just easy for the customer, and it can be moved around wherever they want. If they have a different need, they may have it at front at first and then realize, oh, maybe I need it closer to the restrooms. There's something funky coming out near the restroom, so you may want to plug it there for a while just to help clear the air.
I've left one in my car before and learned quickly that unless you want to smell like that in a very small space, it is powerful.
It is very powerful.
But it can really overpower in a very small space. I was impressed.
Yeah, it definitely can. And another interesting fact about the scent wave, I mentioned this to Dina already, but in long, narrow hallways, it is phenomenal because it's blowing the air and it covers the entire hallway. I was at a hotel myself on a smoking floor, got off the elevator, could not smell any smoke, and they had one scent wave on that floor blowing down that hallway. It was sitting up on top of one of their soda machines, just blowing straight down the hall. And I was very surprised at how well that it worked.
Yeah, this
for
has
those
been the gold
hallways.
standard for, I think we started using this probably 15 years ago and they've updated this specific unit, but it's been a nice gold standard.
Yep, it's kind of the staple that started it all, the system that started it all. So we'll move along now to the Scent Direct. Now this system, it is installed and it is serviced typically on a quarterly basis. The customers don't have to touch it at all, so that it makes this one great if you've got somebody that doesn't want to have to deal with changing a cartridge out every month. If they've got a little larger space and they want something more consistent for their brand as far as the fragrance, because it's going to be the same from day 1 to day 30 to day 60 to day 90, however long that cartridge lasts, the fragrance is going to remain consistent throughout that time. This one, as you can see, it's got a cartridge and it has an atomization pump. So it's actually pulling that oil from the cartridge and it's running through this atomization pump, turning it into teeny tiny microparticles as it's dispersed into the air. It also includes a fan to blow the air as it's coming out to kind of help it disperse through the space. It's quiet. There's a lot of settings for this one, so it can be used in a smaller space up to a space of 3,000 square feet for full coverage. But a lot of people just want that first impression anyway as you're walking through the door, so it's perfect for that as well. It has a 24-hour programmable clock. The mount that it's on, a wall mount, it will rotate 180 degrees to get the right zone that you're looking to cover. But this one's also works in track lighting. As long as we have the make and model of the track lighting that the client wishes to use, we've got adapters to fit most any track light brand on the market, so we can easily install into track lighting. It's a low maintenance system, low voltage and low power. All of our systems do require just a standard 110 power supply, power outlet. So let's move.
Our customers love this. And Josh, I know your customers love this too. It's been a really great addition to the family.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of the Scent Direct. And building upon that Scent Direct, we have our Scent Direct Tower. It's basically the same system of what you just saw. However, it's enclosed in this, we call it a tower. It's heavy. It's made out of metal just so that it's not tipped over easily. And you can see the dimensions. It's like 24.8 inches tall and then 7 inches wide for a space. It's available in black or white. We have brown as well, but I think brown's eventually going to be going away because it's typically the black or the white that we're selling anyway. And it kind of it works with the aesthetics. People can set this by a table in their lobby or by a plan or by a column or wherever they wish in their lobbies. And it can be easily moved just by unplugging it and moving it to a different location if they're not happy with where it's at. Again, it works exactly the same as the Scent Direct. And you'll notice in the photo, there's like just a little teeny little opening, and that's where the scent's coming out at. So you'll want that turned to whichever direction you're looking to cover, because that's where the scent's going to disperse through that little opening in that tower.
Is it, what are some applications that you see these used in mostly?
So mostly with these, you've got clients that have brand new facilities, brand new walls. Some people have marble walls or, really nice walls, and they do not want any holes in their walls. They don't want any mounting brackets on their walls. They don't have track lighting, but they really want scent in their space, but they want it to be not as noticeable. So this kind of just blends in with decor. Again, you can mount it beside a plant, set it right beside a plant or something, and it's just not taken away from their aesthetics that they're already portraying when you walk in. We've used these in hotels. We've used them business offices, apartments, real estate, you name it, across the board. Typically not so much in retail, because they want stuff out off the floor and out of the way and out of customers' reaches. So, but yeah, we've used it in hospitality, real estate, commercial real estate for those type applications.
It might be a good time to ask a question that came in, wondering see if I can paraphrase this. Why should they use this versus going out and buying a retail product, or using a lot of the, what do they call the ionizer?
Plugins. Yeah, the ionizer. Yeah.
Yeah, the one I think I have one at home, and it's never working because it takes me to have to fill it up all the time.
Right.
This is a good question, because a lot of people can buy, Lysol sprays, they can buy the pop-ups, and, why not just invest in that?
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of people, they do invest in that, but they're not getting the best bang for their buck as they would with more of the scent programs that we offer. Ours are just more consistent. The customer themselves aren't having to go out and purchase any items. Everything's delivered right to their door. If they go with a direct or the Scent Direct tower or a stream, it's serviced. They never have to touch it, basically. And just the consistency of it, because you may find a fragrance in one of those others that you really like, but then after a month or so of it being on the market, they decide they don't offer that scent anymore. And then you have to start all over again. So with these, our scents are safe. We work with the same fragrance houses always. So our formulas are always the same. We adhere to IFRA, which is basically like the OSHA of the scent world. Oh. And they give us all these guidelines to follow as far as creating scents and what chemicals can and cannot be utilized, just to make it safe for people that's around it. So our scents are very safe, and they're always consistent. Like I said, we use 2 different fragrance houses for our fragrances, and they have the formulas, and it's always the same.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And lastly, we're going to talk about the scent stream system. This one, we call it our invisible system, because the customer never sees it or touches it. These are installed directly to the HVAC system. We don't install it in the HVAC system because we don't want to avoid any warranties. So this one's actually installed on the outside. We may drill a few holes on the outside casing to mount it to, but this one also requires a power supply to plug into. But then we add this little tubing. I don't know if you can see it really good on the slide, but there's another little tube that comes out of the top of the container, and that's actually, the white container is the container full of oil, the fragrance oil. So that little tube, we drill a teeny tiny little hole coming off of the HVAC system into, they call it a plenum, and that's the area that comes right off the HVAC before it goes into the ductwork. So if at all possible, if we have access to that plenum, if it's an outdoor unit or inside a storage closet, those are typically easy to get to, or rooftop even. But we just drill a teeny tiny little hole, insert the nozzle directly into that plenum area. The system itself has fans and everything, just like the Scent Directs. In any of the other products we have, it's got settings, it's got timers. You can have all kind of event settings with this one. And as long as there's airflow running through the vents, the ductwork, you're going to smell the fragrance from any area that that duct covers. So anywhere that there's air coming off of that HVAC into any space, it's going to cover that space. So this one is if people are looking for that full coverage and just need something that they don't want to have to touch, don't want to have to deal with. It's a great system. Again, we call it our invisible system. We utilize this one considerably in Las Vegas with the casinos more than anything. I mean, we've got casinos, they have like engineering rooms full of HVAC systems. So we have some that we have 20 of these machines, installed in each HVAC to cover, because, with the cigarette smoke and different malodors that are in casinos, they just want to make it as pleasant as possible. So we use a lot of our odor neutralizing fragrances in these casinos to get rid of that cigarette smoke and just give people a pleasant experience when they walk in and make them stay longer at the machines and spend more money. So this one's
just a side comment there. We had a casino that had tried a alternative scent solution, and they got into some legal issues from people that were allergic to the scent because they didn't go through the correct process and the OSHA of scent. And now they've been using Scentair HVAC for quite a few years now and have never had a problem and absolutely love it because it's so consistent.
That's great to hear, Dana. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's the importance of working directly with your fragrance houses that supply our oil and working with IFRA to make sure that the safety standards are there, because it's very important to people's health as well. That plays a huge role. And in case you need to know, how do you choose the right delivery system? So in many instances, wherever you can use a scent wave, you can basically use a Scent Direct as well. So it's a matter of preference. Does the customer want to have to change out cartridges, or do they just want something they don't have to touch, basically for those areas? And that's typically the smaller controlled areas, 2,000 to 4,000 square feet. If you've got a client that just absolutely wants to change their scent every single month, then the scent wave will have to be the system of choice for them, because that's the only one that we offer that is a monthly scent change. The Scent Direct, depending on the consumption of the oil, is typically every quarter as far as changing out the oil. So every 3 months, that cartridge is going to last about 3 months typically in the standard environment, unless they've got the settings turned wide open, then it's not going to last as long, obviously. But yeah, and then there's some cases they may need multiple systems. If they're the Scent Wave and the Scent Direct is more for zoning purposes, like different zones, because it's not going to cover like the Scent Stream covers. It's not going to fill that entire space unless you have a 3,000 square feet space with 10-foot ceilings. Then the Scent Direct's going to cover that entire space. But that's the basic, that's 30,000 cubic feet, and that's pretty much the extent of what the Scent Direct will do. The Scent Wave does less than that, which is between 1,500 to 2,000 feet of space. So just keep that in mind whenever you're, trying to figure out what system's going to suit the client best, because we don't want to put something that's not going to meet their needs based on what they're asking for, because then they're going to be disappointed and 9 times out of 10 want to cancel. So we want to make very sure that we've got what they're asking for, what coverage they're looking for, and that we can fulfill that, even if we have to use multiple systems. So this one also, it's great, Scent Waves, Scent Directs, if they've got fragrance-free zones. Like say it's an office building, they just want their lobby scented and they don't want it really going back into the offices themselves, just the lobby. These systems are great for that because, again, it's zoned impressions. So we can kind of fit it to wherever they're looking for it to be scented. And if the next slide, please. So anyway, with the Scent Stream, I think I mentioned that with the casinos, if they're looking for full coverage, they would definitely want to go with the scent stream. But everything costs a little more. Each level is a little bit more expensive, but not bad considering what you get for it. So, any questions at all?
Yeah. Do we have any questions, Kelly, coming in from? I think you answered the ones that I saw. So.
Yep, nothing yet.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Mr. Joshua, you are on. Can you share with us some practical examples and experiences that you've had with Scentair?
Yeah, so we've been doing it for I'd say probably about 15, 16 years, been selling the systems, and been pretty effective in selling various industries. Those industries can range from dealerships to banks or the financial industry, tire centers, fitness centers, private clubs. Then you can get into the business towers, and therefore is their lobby area, and senior living facilities. And I've done some restaurants, believe it or not. Mainly the restaurants where they do hibachi grills or sushi. It's one thing that my experience is I tend to gravitate more to the Scent Direct system than the Scent Wave. Whether it's a location that's 1,500 square feet or up to 3,000 square feet. And the reason why I like the ability where I can control the on-off time of the Scent Direct system. I can also control the burn level of the oils. We can also control the fan level or fan output as well. So depending on the space, we can dial it back. But if it's a bit larger space, we can also run it at 75% on the fan level and then the burn level. There are times where it's a smaller space, but they're dealing with certain aromas that they are dealing with. And it could be from a restroom area. It could be even from a service area from a dealership. And generally with the Scent Direct system, we'll run we'll burn the oil a little bit higher than the fan level. So we've had great experience with selling the dealerships in banks and some businesses lately, especially during the times that we live in right now with COVID. And so we've all now become germaphobes, which I was already a germaphobe prior to all this hitting last year. But we've installed this system into, and I'll give you, for an example, a dealership. Every evening a dealership is going to come in with their cleaning crew, and they're going to, do the floors. They're going to dust and they're going to wipe down everything. And sometimes they do it during the day too as well. But their cleaning products, as far as the smell and all that stuff, is only going to last, so long. And so what we're doing with the Scent Direct system is that we're running the Scent Direct system to help aid in the whole fresh and clean experience for a customer when they walk into a car dealership. I had an owner, one time tell me I installed one of my machines, and he was skeptical about the whole, thought, with Scentair. And so when we installed it, the following day he called me and he said, literally, anyone, whether it was male or female, that walked in, the first thing they recognized was how clean and fresh it smelled in their dealership. He said most of the time he wants people to notice his cars, but because of the situation we are in currently with the pandemic, he said it's a comforting thing for the customer when they walk in and they know they're in a location or business or dealership that's where they have a nice fresh clean. In fact, he's had several people ask him what is he cleaning his floors with.
Really?
So that was a customer response that he needed to know that I need this in my dealership. And
Josh, we had a question come in about the dealership. Wanted to know kind of an estimated cost for using that in a dealership. Did they, and I'm assuming that you'd have to use 2 or 3 of them. Did you use one? So they kind of wanted a range of what something like that costs.
Well, far as the dealerships, I mean, you've got locations that may be 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, where we can utilize one machine, even though it says up to 3,000. You have to kind of take in consideration airflow, where the air vents are. You have to take in consideration where the air returns are. And so those are situations that when I go into a location, I look for immediately. I go into a location, I'm looking at where their air vents are, where their return air vents are. I also look at all the entry exit points of a dealership, because what I'm trying to do is maximize the potential output of that Scent Direct system running at about 75%. And for dealerships, I like the machines to come on about 30 minutes before they open, because at that point, that's when you start getting more. So when a dealership first opens, the first thing that's open is their service bay areas. So people are coming in to drop off their cars. They're either coming in there because they got a scheduled oil change, tire rotation, or they have an appointment to get a part fixed on their vehicle. So I always like to start the machine about 30 minutes prior to the dealership opening for their service area, because the customers go from their car to inside the customer waiting area. So I try to concentrate and make sure we cover 2 areas of a dealership. The first area is the showroom area. Depending on how big it is and where the customer waiting area is located, I try to pick a location where the machine will go at 10 to 12 feet mounted on the wall. And that's the key to installing these systems, is that they do need to be mounted 10 to 12 feet to help maximize your coverage area. But I do place these machines between if it's a small enough dealership for its coverage area, I do place it between the showroom and the customer waiting area. And it's been a great solution, especially for the dealerships, utilizing it. I've gone so far. I have a demo machine that I utilize, and I'll put in a location for about a week, and I generally will remove it, and the customer the prospect at that time is generally asking me not to remove it, and we get paperwork signed, and I kind of make a deal on I'll let him keep the machine until his machine gets there. So it works out.
You're a good guy, Josh.
Yeah. But overall, it's a great experience, for the new customer or the returning customer for the dealership, because it's that first impression that you want to leave a positive impression. That's part of the whole experience level. So it's positive experience when they first enter the dealership. It's also one where they feel safe because the location is being clean and it is sanitary. Other applications that we've used our service, I've even done smoothie locations with the Scent Wave machine. I can't I can't remember I think it was a vanilla something that the customer went with, but they did a scent wave in there. And again, if they're not making smoothies, and a lot of these smoothies already are in a self-contained container getting blended. So there's no aromas or anything like that escaping. And they go from literally being inside that blender to inside of a cup. So, this customer that I worked with, we actually did their fitness center and with the Scent Direct. The Scent Wave the Scent Direct was just going to be way too much for this location. It wasn't that big. We're only talking like a 50 by 50 room, if that. So we put the Scent Wave in there, and she loves it and gets comments all the time. I mentioned earlier restaurants. We've really done, the main group of restaurants that we've done are ones that have the hibachi grill and sushi. That particular locations, we use our white tea and thyme, and that's TYME. That is the aroma that has the white tea, but it also has the odor neutralizing component within the chemical. We use that in dealerships. I use it in fitness centers. It's gender neutral. It's got that citrus in it, so it does help with that whole clean, fresh experience for the customer. And that's the main aroma of choice that everybody goes towards, and it's my go-to for demo purposes. This aroma we've used in private clubs, the white tea and thyme, and with private clubs, your age group ranges from a child to a senior citizen, and we all know how sensitive some people are, and it can be young to senior citizen. But I will use my grandmother for an example. Very sensitive to smells, and she'll, let me know there's an issue or something like that. So, I would suggest, using that particular aroma because it literally, no complaints. But private clubs, and that's interesting that Paisha mentioned McDonald's and hot apple pie, because I've already written it down because I plan to call my McDonald's guy.
Well, and let me ask Paisha, isn't the scent that Josh talking about very similar to the Marriott scent that we use quite a bit?
It is very similar. There's white tea properties and citrus properties, but it's not quite the same. But yep, very close to it.
Yeah.
Great.
And that one's probably one of our top sellers, the one that Josh is mentioning, the white tea and thyme, because it's the odor neutralizer. It's probably our number one top selling scent across the board, any vertical, because it just works anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the one I just bought too for.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that the key for creating a nice, clean, fresh aroma that's gender neutral is utilizing the white tea and thyme. It's like I said, I've got it in dealerships, restaurants, fitness centers, small businesses, senior living facilities, apartment complexes. Now, apartment complexes are kind of fun because that's when, you can get into their demo room. I guess that's what they call it, demo room or model room. Model room, that's what they call it. But there you could do hot apple pie inside that model room. But in the common area, you could do something else. So it's definitely a fun service to sell because it's the first thing people notice when they walk into a business. It's great to hear the music. great sound system or our digital signage solution, but literally the first thing they notice is, scent. So that's all I have.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that speaks a lot to, I think the very first time that I smelled the product I was in Florida at a Disney brand hotel, and they were testing, as I found out later, the scent air. And I was checking in, and I had my kids with me, and we could smell waffle cone. Yeah. And they're like, where's the ice cream? We've got to have an ice cream cone. I said, okay, we'll do it. I asked the guy at the front, and he said, it's downstairs. Yeah. Well, Scentair was testing with them, saying, okay, we're going to put the waffle cone smell up here. We're going to see what happens to your revenues at the ice cream store, which just skyrocketed. And so they put it throughout their hotel in different ways. But
and something to add to the convenience store industry. Scent is definitely, I've got a group right now. He's got a bunch of locations, and he's looking at doing at the entrance white tea and thyme, because he wants it fresh, clean when you walk into stores. And he has delis, and he has where they sell fried chicken. So he's trying to create a nice, clean, fresh aroma. But when you get into around his coffee area, because all these machines now are all self-contained, whereas a long time ago, they had to brew the coffee, however long. And so aromas were escaping, and there's high margins in coffee. It costs them 10 cents. They sell it for 99. So coffee is a very important product that a convenience store group wants to sell. So you can do fresh brewed coffee. And then in around their area where they have their sweets and stuff, if they don't have an ice cream place inside, then use waffle cone because that's been very popular. And then, is it sticky bun, Paisha?
Cinnabon.
Cinnabon. It's cinnamon swirl is the actual
swirl.
Fragrance.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I knew it wasn't cinnamon bun, but I couldn't remember what it was. That would obviously be placed in areas where, where you can sell candies and some breakfast items and a convenience.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. I had one restaurant who was having issues selling his chocolate chip cookies, and we tried it. He did a paid demo, and I mean, I think within 2 weeks he was like, "We've got to have this in our."
Yeah, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
Paisha, didn't you say in an earlier call that we had that you actually placed the Cinnabon smell for Cinnabon throughout, like airports and such, to get people to come to the location?
Oh yeah, in the malls and airports, they utilize scent services, the scent wave mostly, just to blow that fragrance out. The cinnamon swirl fragrance.
So many times with me. So
yep, and you
you
mentioned, you're welcome, and you mentioned Disney, and I'm glad you did, because Scent Air was actually founded by a Disney Imagineer. That's who came up with the concept of Scent Air, and it was simply to utilize at the park and then start scenting the world.
That's right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're going to close up in a few minutes, but I wanted to give our sales manager, Jay, a moment to kind of talk to you. He is what we call boots on the ground. He's, we have in California, a lot of smaller communities. And so it's been difficult with COVID, but we try to have face-to-face with our customers when we can, like Josh does. And it's important to them. It's important to us to get it right. But he's had some positive experience working with the customers with Scent Air, and I just wanted him to explain a little bit about that and what we do, and then we'll bring it back here.
Yeah, lately we've been targeting hotels, fitness centers, and banks. Banks are a good market to target. A little story with a recent resort that we just fired up. They had a certain scent that they wanted, And nothing that we had on file that kind of, you know, helped them get to that scent. But what they did is they sent us a candle. We sent that to Pasha, and they were able to replicate that smell, which is actually turned out a really, really neat smell. What was it? Green apple, tobacco, and vanilla, something like that.
It was something to that effect. I can't remember exactly the scent, but
that was a service that we were able to offer them, and it worked out really great. And matter of fact, I like visiting the place because it smells so good. So that's something that that you can offer your clients. We let the clients know that we're not a subcontractor. We don't do subcontracting to other people. We actually have our technicians go out, install the system, and they also maintain it on a monthly basis if needed. And that's a really good service that the clients, so they can do what they have to do, make their business grow, and leave the scent to us, as they say. That's a good motto. Let's do that. Leave the scent to us. Anyway, but we have different programs that we're offering between the scent, the direct scent, scent wave, and the HVAC, ranging from $99 up to $300, which also includes maintenance as well. So that's something that we've been offering, and so we can fit a budget, you know, fit their budget wherever they need it, depending on their, you know, the retail location. Right now, we're also offering, as Josh mentioned, a test. I think that's a perfect way to get your foot in the door for new and existing clients as well. The test is just, as Josh says, that they don't want to take it out. So that's another good way to get your get the scent system in there, is the test. But that's about it. So we'll bring it over to Dina.
Thank you, Jay. Any questions? All right. I know we're running short on time now, but I wanted to close with saying that people truly enjoy a professionally provided scent that combines their brand and combines it with their own sensory experience. It transforms their own perceptions. It creates a positive scent that leads to increased sales and revenue, along with the long-term recall effects that improve customer loyalty across the board. It's what I call a win-win. And we want to thank you for joining us. And we hope that we have provided you with some solutions that really matter. And you have on the screen, you'll see a contact page that you can, if you need to screenshot that, feel free to contact us at any time. We'll be happy to answer your questions and work with you. And thank you for joining. Stay safe. Have a great week.